This video will cover the pre-build steps for the Gundam Barbatos from Iron-Blooded Orphans. When customizing your Gunpla, you're going to be working with things like model glues, various types of paints, and also solvents like paint thinner or isopropyl alcohol are the two most common ones. You want to make sure that you're in a well-ventilated room because you don't want to be inhaling the fumes because they could cause health issues or at the very least make you feel intoxicated. You're going to want to read any warning labels on any products that you use or do some research online to see if there's additional health safety measures you need to take, such as respiratory gear or anything such like that. If you are working with isopropyl alcohol, do keep in mind that that is a wood alcohol which can cause serious health issues, including blindness if consumed. So you want to make sure that you definitely wash your hands after any exposure to it to make sure that you don't get it in your food later on. I've decided to do things a little bit differently with this build than I did with my prior builds, in that I found it to be not as productive to do the panel lining after I've done the build, because what was happening is where I wanted to panel line things to highlight them on the inner frame pieces, I would have to take things apart and then do that and then put it back together, and it really was quite time consuming. So what I've decided to do with this model, the Gundam Barbatos, is I'm going to do as much of the panel lining before I do the build with the pieces still attached to the runners. Now with the IBO Iron-Blooded Orphans model kits, I've noticed that there are quite a few color correcting stickers. Now, HG models in themselves do have color correcting stickers because just the fact that it's an HG and there's not a lot of pieces to do the color differentiation. But the Iron-Blooded Orphans line seems to have a lot of places where, you know, that they selected the main color to use for the pieces, but then they have to use color correcting stickers, like to put black on the white or white on the black or some red and other things like that. So what I'm going to do is, instead of using these color correcting stickers, I'm actually going to paint these. So while I'm doing the panel lining, I want to check to make sure that where I'm panel lining isn't necessarily where I'm going to have to paint later. Now, if it's a case where I have to panel line and paint in a similar area, but I want the panel line there too, I'll do the panel lining first, because then I can clean it up nicely, and then I can paint the area around the panel lining that needs the paint without affecting the panel lining, as opposed to doing it the other way around. Because if I do paint first and the panel lining is going to have places where I need to clean up, because that's just what happens with panel lining, and I don't want to. Then I would risk rubbing away some of the paint and having to repaint it. So I will be checking the manual from time to time while doing this to just make sure that what I'm doing the panel lining on is not going to be a place where a color correcting sticker is going to be applied, hence I'll be painting it later. Now, I have done some preliminary looks to just make sure I have an overall idea of what is panel lining and what is going to be painted later, but I'll probably have to check and just to double check as I move forward. Now, the other thing is you also want to check the manual, because I will be using the Tamiya accent colors for the panel lines, and this you should not use on ABS plastic because it will eat it. It will literally eat right through the plastic, and then you have multiple pieces where you panel lined. because it will just etch right down. So I have checked, and none of the plastic in this model is ABS. It's all polystyrene, and the polycaps are polyethylene, which don't need to be panel lined anyway. So I don't have to worry, and I can use this as opposed to the Gundam markers. Now I've pre-mixed it because these are brand new, and but I'll probably be shaking it from time to time just to make sure everything is mixed together properly. So when panel lining, you want to make sure what you're trying to achieve is you're highlighting things. So in other words, you are imparting shadows, really. So you want to use as light of a panel line color as you can get away with. So in the white pieces here, I'm going to be using the gray, just the standard gray panel line accent color from Tamiya. For the dark gray pieces, I'll be using the black. I'll also be using the black on the yellow because I've used the black on yellow before and it works really nice. For the red, I will probably be using this dark brown because brown tends to impart pretty nice shadows onto red. I haven't quite figured out what I'll do for the blue. I might use the black. We'll have to see how it looks because I've had mixed results with different shades of blue in the past working with the other models. So we'll figure it out. I also have this right here. This is just a little runner rack, but what I'm going to do is since I'm painting everything on the runner, then I'm just going to use this as a drying rack essentially for my runners. Sorry for the banging there, it closed unexpectedly. But so I just wanted to give you an idea of what I'm doing. So I'm going to start with the white one. Oops, out of the way here. So now the nice thing about the Tamiya panel lining accent colors is it comes with a really nice brush, very thin, very pointy, and of course since this is panel line paint, it's very thin anyway, so that it can flow in places. And essentially, just like you would with the panel lining markers, you just basically touch the corners, and that will, the capillary action will throw the panel line around. And if you might need to touch more than one place just so that you can get the darkness that you want. But I'll bring this up a little bit. I have zoomed in a little bit better. But if you just kind of touch the corner, and you notice how it just kind of moves around, and then I might touch over here a little bit. So it is quite runny. Now this piece that I started with, this is a place where I'm going to be coloring over black around above in this spot that is surrounded by the panel line, but I want to do the panel line first. And I'll have a separate part of this video that does the painting to replace the color correcting stickers. I just want to make sure that the panel lining is all dry and cleaned up before I do that part. So that's why I'm doing this part first and not worrying about the painted stuff at this moment in time. I'm just basically just looking at all the places where I would normally panel line and doing it while it's here attached. Now these right here are the Barbatos pink, so I'm not going to panel line those, but I will panel line these parts here just to give some shadow. And of course, once this is put together, there may be some additional panel lines that are created from the where the pieces come together, and that's okay. I'll just take care of those when I get to that part. I just want to get as much as I can done before I put them together, because it's just going to be so much easier. Okay, we did the panel lining already, so everything has dried, and now it's time to just clean up the pieces to get the marks that we don't want to show and stuff like that off of there. Now, one thing I did discover between doing the panel lining and now is that this Tamiya, the panel line accent color, and the entire range that is called panel line accent color, is an enamel paint. So when you are going to be cleaning it up, you need to make sure that you have enamel thinner, which I did not have, so I had to wait a while to find the right one that I need to use. Now, the reason why I say find the right one that I needed to use is that there are many different enamel thinners out there, some of which are and are not plastic friendly. In other words, there are enamel thinners out there that can do serious damage to plastic depending upon the ingredients. So if you notice this right here, this is a disc bay. And if you notice, it says it's benzene free, benzene being one of those things that are very, very bad for plastic. So when working with enamel thinner, you want to make sure that you get the enamel thinner from a vendor that you know also makes enamel paints for plastic. Desbay, Tamiya, Vallejo, when they make an enamel thinner. I know a lot of people I did a lot of research, and a lot of people were talking about testers. I didn't go with testers only because of the fact that when I was really young, testers was what was used for doing model painting. Figure. In other words, figure painting. The pewter figures, I was heavily into Dungeons and Dragons, so I painted a lot of those. So I wasn't 100% sure if the ingredients would be completely plastic friendly. I know that Testers also does a lot of products for models such as, more on your, airplanes and military type things and cars and stuff like that. They're more used for that. So I didn't go with Testers, but if you want to use Testers, just do a little bit more research and make sure that it's at least benzene free and any other ingredient that might be dangerous to plastic. So I just wanted to make sure that was that I communicated that when I started doing the cleaning. So what I've done is I put a little bit of the enamel thinner here, and then just because I'll be using cotton swabs to kind of do the cleaning with, it's just easier for me to dunk them in there than it is in the bottle. So one other thing to note is the reason why I discovered that it was not acrylic paint was that I was using my things that I use for acrylic paint, both the isopropyl alcohol and the acrylic paint thinners, and it didn't do anything to clean off the paint. Now, lucky thing is it doesn't do any damage either. It just doesn't clean up things. So that's how I discovered that there was something very different going on. So I'm just going to start cleaning this stuff up. And I do have some paper towels over here on the side, because that way I can just kind of dab so that you want to have control over where, once again, I'm going to take the glasses off because I'm at that age. You do want to control where the fluid goes, and if it's dripping off of the cotton swab, you can't control it very well. So I'm just kind of brushing the areas that I don't want, and also the paper towel would be nice to just soak up the excess. Or excess, I guess I should say, instead of access. It's not like I'm trying to get into the thinner. And really, the place where you want to keep it is right there on the edges, right in the corners. It's doing so much better than the wrong thinner. start with the body. Now I'll be doing the painting to replace the color correcting stickers that are very prevalent with HG model kits, and seems to be something that is even more prevalent with the iron-blooded orphan model kits, because I think the colorations are much more involved coloration in the series. So these are the stickers I'll be replacing. What I've done is I've already taken the time to figure out where these stickers are to be placed, and you do that by looking in the manual, and you'll see this little square with an upturned corner that tells you that a sticker needs to be applied. That's a bad example because I'm going to keep the only sticker I am going to use are the eyes right here, because there's a metallic green on there and it's going to be recessed enough you're not going to see the edges. So those I'm going to use, but any other color correcting stickers, like here, there's several places where you use correcting stickers for the colors, like this pinkish color or the black and the white. What's happening with these is that this white piece here is used on a dark piece to color part of it white, and these other ones are white pieces where part of them are going to be colored either black or red, and then the highlight, the glowing areas of the Gundam are these pinkish color. So I looked in the manual, determined where these go, look at the shape to see where they're being placed, to determine where to mask and allow for me to paint where the paint needs to go and not have the paint go on where it's not supposed to be. Now what I'm going to be using are these Despe acrylic markers. These are very soft tip. They're almost like a Japanese calligraphy pen or marker, where it's very soft. And I'm going to be using these for the main colors, which are white, black, and red. And I'll be worrying about the pink color a little bit later. I'm going to be doing the highlight areas that are in there, kind of showing probably the glowing parts and such. And it's this color here. Now, the really annoying thing is that every color is shown here as in the color guide, except for this color. I don't know why. I searched everywhere to find out what color this was. Many people that have painted instead of doing the color correction stickers have just used red. This is more of a pink. So what I did is I just made my own pink to match it as close as I can. I did even go so far as to scan this in, figure out what the RGB number is for it, and then there are websites that if you get the RGB number for a selection of different types of paints or manufacturers of paints, you can get colors to mix to make that color, and it gives you ratios. I did that. I didn't have all the colors. I tried to mix some other ones in there. Unfortunately, I got more of like a gray blue instead of this color. Plus, a lot of those websites are expecting oil paints to be used, not necessarily acrylics. Or if they're acrylics, they're more acrylics for canvas painting, not model painting. So the colors are going to be slightly different. The makeups are going to be slightly different. The way that the light reflects off of it is going to be slightly different. So I then decided to just kind of make my best guess pink, and that's what this is. I got as close as I can to here, so I can just kind of paint those areas now. I will put either the formula that I did, because essentially what I used is I used Vallejo white and red. These are the model color ones, not the model air, just the model color. I will put a guide of what I did. It was essentially a 5-to-2, 5 red to 2 white to get this color pink. I'll either put a link to someplace where I put the color in somewhere else, or I'll just put the recipe down in the comments for this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please do give it a thumbs up. That really does help out the channel. And if you would like to see more like this, please go ahead and subscribe and click the notification bell. If you do have some time, I would really appreciate it if you could watch one of the videos that are popping up around my head.